focus on not speaking. Focus on not speaking, and you'll understand as we get into this. So when we focus on not speaking, there's 4 things that I'm practically going to take us through right now. It's movement, eyes, voice, and tech. And you will see that I have done each of these things, and so I didn't have to teach it, but basically what I'm going to do is tell you what I've been doing, what you've been watching the entire time. So we'll start with movement. Stand ready for anything, exaggerate your gestures, choreograph your actions. These are the 3 things, and we're going to start and we're going to do the first one. Stand ready for anything. So go ahead, put your stuff down, please. Rise. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Make sure you got some space, move that chair out of your way. What would your ready for anything stance look like? What has mine been? Straight up. Where are my feet? Where are your feet? About shoulder width apart, right? Are your legs completely straight or a little bit bent? Why? So you don't lock up and pass out, right? It's true. I don't know if you know this. If you keep your legs completely locked, I don't know how long it takes, but you might just pass out. So you got it, and also you be able to move a little bit, you be able to bounce. Right? Where's the energy? On the balls of your feet or on your heels? So you can bounce. Again, everything's about bouncing and jumping and that today, right? So be able to move a little bit, and you can keep those feet. Now, a long time ago, when somebody was training me, they said, watch your video and tell me what's weird about your video. I always used to stand like this. I thought it was very just open, and it was very comfortable. And I spread, they were like, why are your legs spread so far apart? I said, I actually have no idea. They said, well, then if you don't have any idea, you don't have any reason to do it. Touche. Right, so the reason for this is to center yourself, to center your weight. You put the energy on the balls of your feet so you're ready for anything, if you will. Pick your head up, push your shoulders back, take a deep breath in. Again with the hands. Release. All right? So keep your head up, push your shoulders back a little bit, and hands to your side. This is ready for anything. Not military ready for anything, but close enough. Right? How uncomfortable are you right now? This isn't how we normally stand, right? What do most people stand like? Right? When I tell people uncross your arms, they go like this. Right? But we always find some way to do that. Right? So this is ready for anything. Tell me where my energy is now compared to now.
Low.
What do you notice? Just from going from 2 legs to 1.
You're slouching.
I'm slouching. What does that mean? Bad posture?
Tired.
Tired. I don't care. Just by doing that. Now I don't care about you anymore. That's terrible. So if that's what you think looking at me, and you clearly know that I care, how do you think people are perceiving you? What's your typical stance? Show me what your typical stance looks like. And if you don't know, find yourself on video. He's like Peter Pan over here. Right? All right, put your feet shoulder width apart, put the energy on the balls of your feet, bend your knees a little bit. And now drop all of your energy to your left leg. How do you feel? What just happened in your mind? What's that? Now you fell off center. You've got to. Yeah. And if you stay like this long enough, what starts to happen to that foot at the bottom?
Go to sleep.
It starts to go to sleep, right? I mean, some of you probably feel it right now. How many of you feel that tingle in your foot right now? It's only been a couple seconds, all right? Right? There's no tingle in your foot if you center yourself now. Right? I know there's no hands in your pockets policy. Is that right? Why? I'm so comfortable like this, not showing you what my hands look like. Why?
Prepare for a fall, so you can get preparation in case you trip and fall.
Yeah. And if you perform anything like I do with the skiing story, you got to be prepared to fall. Yeah.
I don't think shit will.
How do I look as a presenter right now with my hands in my pockets?
Like you don't care.
Like I don't care. Interesting. So it may be comfortable to me, but the perception is, I don't really care. It's almost as if I'm doing this with my upper body. You know, it go from being ready to, right? And it brings your shoulders down, does it not? Nobody ever, that's weird, right? Anyone uncomfortable yet standing like this? Anyone fall back into their standard? What are we doing over here? You got rubber band hands? Some people have rubber band hands. That's the thing, right? Every time you present whatever you present, you keep coming back to this spot, right? Does anyone have those? Right? We got to get rid of rubber band hands. A hard lesson for me, I always gestured with two hands. And I saw this on video. Best thing you can do for yourself. Record yourself presenting or have someone else record it for you, and then watch it two different ways. One, in fast forward. So you just see what do you do with your body, and you'll see. And you'll see what you do. And then watch it with your eyes closed and just listen. And that's when you hear your word whiskers, your uhs, your ums. How many of you have heard me say and all those things? No. Yeah, it's not part of my presentation. That's what I understand you saying here. I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. Right? So rubber band hands, we got to get rid of those. But we also don't have to do this, right? Anyone uncomfortable yet? Make this comfortable for yourself. It takes time, it takes practice. Push your shoulders back a little bit. And what I'm going to ask you to do is exaggerate. Is that word up there? Exaggerate your gestures. Because if you're used to doing it one way, you're going to have to overcompensate to do it the other way. It's going to feel really weird, but I have amazing posture. My wife has terrible posture. And she says, how do you have amazing posture? I said, no kidding. A long time ago, sometime when I was in college, really long time ago, I decided, what would it look like, how would I walk, how would I stand if I was dressed up in a superhero costume? And it sounds ridiculous, but every interview, if you listen to, back in 2006 when the terrible Superman Returns movie came out, not sure if you saw it, but Brandon Routh was the actor. And he said when he put on the costume, he walked differently. He held himself differently. And I was like, that's a really cool idea. And I was already doing it. I'm like, I'm good. This is fantastic. So I tell a woman, you could be Superman, you could be Supergirl, you could be Wonder Woman, but just show me, how would you stand if you walked out and you knew you were a superpowered being? You would probably stand differently, would you not? You wouldn't walk out and be like, here I am to save the day, right? It's a very different feeling. And knowing that body language is 55% of how we communicate, it has to start here. So whether you want to go with a superhero costume or not, I'll tell you, I do it, my wife doesn't, I got great posture, she doesn't, so research. Right? Because science has become a term now. Whatever it takes to remind you, if you have to pretend that there's always a breeze and there's always a cape flowing behind you when you walk, it doesn't matter, it's in your head, no one has to know, that's the best part. Whatever it's going to take for you to feel and look ready for anything. Are you with me on this so far?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Am I sounding a little ridiculous yet?
Oh yeah.
That's okay, isn't it? Because we are all just big kids growing up and unfortunately miseducated that we have to be so professional and so one way or so this way. And my easiest example is I've been a father for a couple of years. I don't know almost anything about being a father. But I have one of my friends who said, I am so afraid of maturing and losing that side of me. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. You do not have to mature when you become a parent. You get more responsibility, but you become more immature. And unfortunately, we keep educating ourselves that we've got to mature and be this certain way. No, we don't. You have to be yourself. And you have to be comfortable with yourself. And be a little bit better than you were yesterday. And a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. We like to say focus on progress, not perfection. Are we uncomfortable yet? Yep? Good. Because the more uncomfortable you are now, the more comfortable it is later. My job is to make it so hard for you today that it becomes easy later. Now again, this whole idea of exaggeration. So you've probably seen me do some exaggerated movements and motions, have you not? Because people in the back see it from 50 feet further away. So this isn't little, because people in the front are like, that's actually quite a bit. That's, this is little. This is a lot. This is tall. Not this, not this, not a little bit taller, because if you do this, this is just a little taller than me. That's not all that tall. This is tall. We want everyone to get the idea of what this is all about. I don't know why this is idea, but apparently this is idea, right? And then lastly, choreograph your actions. I've already kind of shared some of this with you, that there are certain places that I stand. Went through this yesterday with you guys, but I walked around and was in all the seats. So I know there's a line of sight from here to the screen. How many times have I been in your direct line of sight? How often have you gone?
Oh, no, I'm not.
You've not had to look around me, because I know there's a line, and I drew a line down here, and I know that there's a line from here to Mary. And I did not cross that line until I cleared the slides. Once I've let you know here's what I'm presenting, that's when I've crossed the line, the barrier, the threshold to say now I can get you your way. Really practical stuff, right? So choreographing your actions comes back to what are you doing with your body and where are you? You think I've fallen in the same way every single time I tell the skiing story? Every single time, same way. Except the first and the second and the third one, I was trying to figure it out. Because I got hurt a lot. But choreograph those movements. You can do this so much, I don't recommend you need to, but you can, just want to give you the science behind it, you can do this so much that you can trigger an emotional experience from where you are in the room. If you always come to this spot over here to tell an emotional story, and you do that 3 or 4 times, every time you walk over here, people will connect, okay, this is an emotional moment. And you can really play with people and really influence their emotions. You don't need to do that. You're not really getting all that emotional in the trainings that you do. Some of them, yes, but most of them probably not. But you can do that with people. You have probably noticed, consciously or subconsciously, every time I take steps back, I'm about to share a new slide. Right? And you've got that trigger. We're about to move on to something different. Because getting out of your way, and now I'm presenting this. Once you see it, let's get back into action. Are we crossing our hands in the front? Are we getting uncomfortable in the back over there? No? Why are your hands in the front? You don't even know they're there, do you?
They were in the back,
It's hard, isn't it? And I've been asking you to do this for probably 5 minutes now. It's challenging. How many of you went right back to comfortable? Right back to normal? Put your hand up if you did. Right? Half of us went right back to whatever we typically do because we went back to habit. That's why they call this training. We'll speak after class. All right. Is this good stuff so far?
Good stuff. Oh, yeah.
So as you think about each of these things, the first is stand.
Ready for anything.
Thank you. Ready for anything. The second is exaggerate your what? Gesture. So everybody knows exactly what you are saying. And then lastly is choreograph your actions. I've got to give you a warning. But move like you move. Do not move like somebody else. Move the way you move so that it's natural. If you're with me, say, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Somebody high five, have a seat. So we already know physiology is 55%, and that's why we take so much time on focusing on this. So let me ask you this question. When you do your own trainings, when you do your own facilitation of your workshops, seminars, whatever you end up calling it that day, what do you look like? Think about that right now. Put an image of yourself. Imagine you're sitting in the seat of your learners, and you're looking at yourself. What does your body look like as you take the stage area? What does it look like as you're presenting? How many of you would say, it looks impressive? say it looks disgraceful. Okay, if you're really honest, how many of you say it needs some work? All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right. I mentioned stand to the left of the screen because we read left to right. Is it possible in every room that you're in every situation that you're in? How much does it really matter? I have no idea. All I know is that people look and read in this country left to right. So it makes natural sense to present left to right because this is normal for us. If you can do it, great, do it. It will help. If you don't do it, it probably won't hurt. But it will be backwards. I don't know if you've noticed it, but it is very backwards for me to take your attention and now direct it this way. Like in a timeline, and everything is reversed, right? So, and I made the mistake earlier that I caught myself. You know, this is the start for you. This is the end, right? This is the start for me, though. But I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for you. So that's why we kind of use this as a trigger. That's why I'm standing in front of this smart board. Really practical? Is this helpful at all? Yeah? Yes? No? Yes. You're just unhappy that I made you stand like that for 5-10 minutes? All right. Your eyes, let's now move from movement to eyes. Eyes are critically important. You're going to present to the audience, lock in contact for 5 seconds. I know it seems like a long time. And start on one, end on another. I'll explain what each of these means. So you present to the audience, which means if you have to read the slides, that is a problem, is it not? So that means if there's too much text on the slide, if you have to take your attention away for more than a few seconds, there's probably too much going on the slide here. Or we don't know it well enough. So we're going to present to the audience. We're not going to present to the podium. Maybe you've seen people like this. Maybe you have this challenge yourself. You present to the people in the ceiling or the people that aren't there in the back. Does anyone do this? You present to the floor. Have you seen presenters like that? They're always looking for something else. You know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not making this stuff up, right? Or they present to the screen as if this is who's paying attention. If you want to continue that relationship, present to the audience, your learners, your students. Lock in contact for 5 seconds. How long is 5 seconds? It's awkward long. She won't even look at me for 2. At 2 seconds, she goes, it's a long time. 3 seconds, she got to 3 seconds. 4, we got 4. It's hard, is it not? Now I'll tell you, it's harder when there's no words. That's when it's creepy, right? But if you are talking, you can talk to somebody and connect with them for 5 seconds. This does 2 things. The first thing is it builds a relationship and that person feels like they're there. The second thing, which is even more important, is if you're nervous, it takes away all the jitters. Because you're now in a relationship with someone, one person, instead of talking to everyone. Now I know sometimes you're working with groups of 3 or 4, right? What's the biggest group that you'll train? 50 to 60. Does anyone get nervous jitters in front of 50 or 60? Okay, a few of us, right? Especially if we're presenting something brand new. But 5 seconds seems like a long time if you're counting. Now, I don't always do it because I don't get any jitters, and I make sure to connect at least for 2 or 3 seconds with everybody. When I was trained, I was told 3 seconds. Why do you think I say 5? To get the 3 seconds. Yeah, absolutely. And to take that even further, it's start on one, end on another. So this is super advanced. You probably don't need to do all this, but I want to give it to you so that you have this kind of tool in your toolbox. I call it don't spill the shots. Imagine you're pouring your favorite drink. What is it?
Corona.
We're pouring a Corona. You would never pour a Corona out of a glass.
Yes, but
Imagine you're pouring Corona into shot glasses.
Patron.
Okay?
Patron.
Patron. All right, you're pouring Patron, all right, into shot glasses. I'm going to pour it for you. But then I'm not going to spill the shot. As I connect with somebody else, then I'll start pouring it again. So what does that mean? It means if you really want to build your confidence and look really professional doing this, start talking on one person. And then continue talking with somebody else with a pause in between. And then connect with somebody else. And this really builds confidence. It builds a relationship with people in your audience. It's pretty effective. Wouldn't you say? It also teaches you to breathe. It teaches you to pause, take a break, and just connect. This isn't about content, it's about context. If you're with me on that, say, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to do it all the time. But if you can, and when you do, it's really cool. How many of you are willing to try that one? It does, it changes a lot. So as we recap this, it's present to who? The audience. Lock in contact for 5 seconds, but probably you're going to get 3. All right? But count to 5. You're probably going to count faster because it's awkward. You're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then start on one person, end on another. There's another way to look at this one. If somebody asks you a question, have you ever had the example where someone asks you a question, and then when you're done, they have another question, and you didn't want to do that, but you still want to be respectful? I'm going to end on someone else. Not to introduce a new question, but to close a thought. Not to open a conversation, unless that's your goal. Especially in a group of 3 or 4. These are more of what we call Jedi mind tricks. Right? But don't ignore unfriendly eyes. Okay? There are some people who are going to give you that blank stare. There are some people who are not going to talk to you, not going to participate. Are they bad people?
No.
No. They could just be tired because something kept them up late last night. It could be a pet. It could be neighbors down the street. It could have been something else. They could be tired. They could be exhausted. They could be morning people and you're in the afternoon. They could be afternoon people and you're still getting started in the morning. Who knows what's going on in their mind? Find a way to connect with everyone, whether you're their best friend or not, whether they're raising their hand, whether they're conversing with you or not. Don't ignore those unfriendly eyes, because it's probably not about you. Right? Right? Still good practical stuff? All right. Your voice is the next one. We're going to project at a volume 8, animate your words, move your lips, and pause, don't So we'll start at projecting at volume 8. Who likes to yell? Who's got a really good yelling voice?
Robert.
You. Robert does, and what's your name tag? Where's your name lady? She's hiding it from me. And Paula. Can you yell? Can you give us a loud yell? You might want to cover your ears, Robert. Sweet! I think you got more. Come on. Give me more. Hey! Give me more.
Okay.
Stand up.
Oh, I see.
Did you just say you can't stand up? Now give me more. Come on, Paula. Everyone say, come on, Paula. Come on.
Can you all hear me?
No!
Well, I get a little bit louder.
Go higher.
I'll get a little bit louder.
Louder, not higher. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So notice if we push ourselves, we've got more in there. When you thought you were yelling, we didn't. At just, 50 feet away, maybe, we didn't think it was yelling. You're always going to think you're louder than you are because you're speaking right next to your ears. It sounds like common sense, but everyone I've trained always thinks they're louder than they actually are. So imagine 10 is the top of your lungs, which I don't really understand that phrase, but it's the top of your lungs, right? It's as loud as it gets without you going high-pitched and breaking your voice in half. It's yelling. Like if you were really excited at a sporting event, at a graduation and they just threw their caps and they're like, yeah! Something exciting. Not the opera, right? But that's, you give your 10. When you present, we give an 8. When you speak one-to-one to somebody, you give a 5. You notice the difference in my volume right now. If you and I were just talking, this is the volume I'd be at. Did you notice that I was a lot louder the entire day? Right? Because I'm projecting. It's not just speaking, it's projecting. Give me an 8.
Hey.
I'm about to fall on the floor. You better use your volume to pick me up. Come on.
Hey.
Hey, what?
Your voice.
My voice, what?
Your voice is loud.
Do you think that was an 8? No. 6.8. You think you're yelling, do you not? Push your chair back, stand.
Your voice.
No, we're not calling it an 8. Talk to me in a 5. Give me a 5. How would you talk to me if we were just friends, just hanging out? Okay. So that's your standard average? So double it.
That's my standard average. That's my standard average.
Now go higher.
That's my standard average.
Go higher.
That's my standard average.
Now give us your excellent average.
That's my excellent average.
That's a little bit better, right? Notice what I did is I changed the word. He kept saying standard, standard, standard. So I did what's called a pattern interrupt, and I gave him a word to be excited about. He said, excellent! You heard his pitch change a little too, did you not? Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Lexington.
No, and an A!
I'm from Lexington.
Right? Does it sound like he's yelling? Sounds like you're mad? No, you're not. You're not. And I'm right here, and I don't think you're all that loud. What do you mean? Really?
Really?
Yeah. Now, if I don't think this is loud, think about all the distractions in the room. So first, there are some people who might be talking over you. There's probably an air conditioner that's on in the rooms, right? There's probably, you might hear the hum of the projector. So knowing all these things are going on, and there's also a bug on somebody's ear, buzzing in their ear, you need to make sure that they hear you. Give us an 8.
I understand now.
No. So this is why we're going to practice, right? So we're going to project at what volume? 8. Animate your words. If you haven't gotten this from how I've done it in using pitch and changing things. So it is not monotonous, because that's what you said you couldn't stand, monotony. Move your lips. How many of you are mumblers? Anyone a mumbler? Anyone know a mumbler? Mumbling happens because people don't move their lips. My brother's a mumbler, and he talks to me like this the whole time, and I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to say, but his lips never seem to move. But if you talk like this all the time, do you have any emotion in your face either? No. It looks like you had Botox or something done. You just can't move your face anymore. Move your face. Move your face. Because when you laugh, crack up out loud hysterically, what do you do with your face? It changes, it moves. When you're crying, what happens to your face? When you're angry, what happens? It's natural. Use it to your advantage. And then pause, don't I don't know how, but my 3.5-year-old and 5.5-year-old already know how to say, I don't know where they got it from. But at the end of every day, we say prayers, we say what we're thankful for, and then we say what was our favorite part of the day. And that's our ritual. So that we can always reflect back instead of just looking forward. We can honor where we come from. And at the end of every day, I'll say, Ella, what are you thankful for? She goes, my bed. And for you guys, and for my family. Alec, what are you thankful for? It always starts, I don't know why, but that is such a natural thing for us to do. It started, you don't even know when it started. It started too long ago. And it's hard. But if you can get rid of that the easiest way to do it is just don't say anything. Just pause. All of these. Replace it with a pause, because learning happens in the silence. Give your audience a break. Let them hear what you just said. Just like that. Right? But speak like you speak. Don't try to speak like somebody else. Don't try to mimic somebody else's style. Again, this all comes back to move like you move, present like you present, speak like you speak. Be yourself, otherwise it will come off very differently and probably not so good. If you're with me on that, say uh-huh. Uh-huh. Let's take that a little deeper. You didn't finish the project. If I don't emphasize anything, that's what it sounds like. If I said, you didn't finish the project, what am I saying? Yeah, it's you. Yeah. You didn't finish the project? Disappointment. I'm questioning her, right? You didn't finish the project? Exactly, right? I started it. You didn't finish the project? What project? Like, that's the one she should know about. You didn't finish the project? What am I saying? What project? What am I talking about? Do I even know what project we're talking about? You can change one word in that sentence and it becomes a completely different sentence, right? Which means it's the power of one word, the tone in one word. So let's use one word, the word O. Give me a painful O. What's it sound like? Oh. No, more painful. Oh. Okay, thank you. Sad. Oh. Bored. Oh. Relieved. Oh. And excited. Oh. As a culture, we have the same sound. Some of your sad and your relief sounded the same. I don't know if you noticed that, right? But one tone shift in one word, completely different meaning. Completely different. That is the power of it's not what you say, it's how you say it. For example, the word hello. No emphasis, hello. Now say hello like this. Drop it in the middle. Hello. Right? Say hello. Nobody ever says it like that, but that's an example. Right? Now say hello. Hello. What's the feeling that conveys? It's a downer. Like, hello. Right? What about the one right up? I can't reach it. Does this have a? It does. I hate using these, so I never do. How about that one? Hello. Yeah. Again. Come on. Together. I hear 100 hellos at the same. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hello. And then how about this one? Hello. Completely different feeling, right? Ready? This one. Hello. 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 That sounds so sad. I shouldn't have ended on that one. Wait, this one. Okay, better. So it all comes back to how we're presenting these words. And that's kind of a fun exercise. And it's something that we should do to practice. So we know how are we saying things. And then if you're doing these trainings, how many times do you do a typical training, the same training? Hundreds. So you should be doing it the same way once you figure out what way works. What way gets the best result, and then keep doing it that way. Like it took me several times to figure out how I'm going to fall down during the skiing story. And then I do it the same way every time. I haven't been bruised since. Should have seen it in the beginning, right? It's all in how we use those words. And lastly, your tech. So we all use some sort of technology as we do this. Clear the slide, transition like a story, and debrief everything. So you know what clear the slide is by now, right? I've done this every time I've come up to the slide, I've cleared it for you, and then presented. What a terrible presenter does is they talk to you while they shift slides, and they go back and forth between slides, and where is the focus of the presenter? I mean, on the audience. On the slide. Like, oh, something new just happened. You caught my attention. And now they're no longer paying attention to you as you're trying to teach, educate, support, help them understand. So clear it first, or change the way the slide appears. Transition like a story. Make sure that one thing leads to the other so that it feels like a complete experience. And lastly, debrief everything. I've asked a lot of very simple questions, and you've given me some simple answers. And when you've given me a simple answer, what have I said? Yeah, tell me more about that. Not because I'm an idiot, but because everyone has their own meaning for what these things are. So when someone says something about anything, make sure that we all have a collective common language. And say something like, tell me more about that, or help me understand, or what do you mean? And as you do that, use an open hand, not a, tell me more about that. You, right? Use an open hand, it's welcoming. In fact, if you go to Disney, the happiest place on the planet, they are not allowed to point with one finger. They must point with two. Almost like if you're on a plane, they do the same thing, do they not? You never see them do it this way. Well, almost never. They'll say, and you've got 2 exits in the rear and 2 exits on the side. So present this way. It's open. Good stuff? Is this helpful? Good? Oh yeah, appreciate it. But don't let the slide lead you. If you don't know what's coming next, we got some problems. And this goes back to that hard conversation of knowing what's going on. I'm not saying you can't slip up once or twice, or a couple of times, especially in a full day. It's okay to have the mistakes, but for the most part, we should know what's coming next. Which means we've got to put time into to get ready for it. Now the standard equation, if you really want to know the equation, is for every 10 minutes of training time, it should take you an hour to get ready. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? So if you're getting ready for a full day, I mean, if you add up, and I pretty much practiced that. How long did it take me to get ready for today? We're going from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock, but there's some breaks for lunch and breaks for, so just say it's 6 hours. 6 hours is how many minutes? How many hours did I put into this? 16? 360. It's a couple days. But the more you do it, the less you have to, and the easier it becomes. And so I didn't have to put in 360, but it did take me a couple days. 360, I don't even know how many days that is. That's why I'm here, not doing math somewhere else. Right? Are you with me on this? Yeah. Turn to your neighbor and say, hey, good stuff so far? We've talked movement with your body. We've talked eyes to connect people. We've talked voice so that people can hear us. And we've talked using technology as well. And the slide that you're waiting